I may not know a lot, but I know these 5 things, right? Hi entrepreneurs, I'm Vicky Brown, and you're in the right place if you want to engage your team, boost your business, and grow your leadership muscle. You know, the world of employment law is, well, it's complicated, and I get it. When you're focused on growing your business, managing your team, and making sure your customers are happy, well, keeping up with labor regulations isn't exactly at the top of your priority list. But here's the thing, ignoring labor laws, well, that won't make them go away. And falling for common myths about the laws can lead to some serious problems down the road. So let's talk about the top 5 myths about labor laws that I see entrepreneurs fall for all the time. Myth number 1, if my business is small, labor laws don't apply to me. I hear this one constantly, and it's completely false. The size of your business does not exempt you from labor laws. Even if you only have 1 employee, you're still subject to a variety of state and federal regulations. Take wage and hour laws. It doesn't matter if you have 1 employee or 100. You still have to comply with minimum wage and overtime requirements. And don't forget about anti-discrimination statutes. Many of those kick in with just a single employee, especially at the state level. For instance, in California, where I'm located, there are numerous requirements that apply the moment you hire your very first team member. So the bottom line, don't assume you're flying under the radar just because you're small. The laws still apply to you. And by the way, ignorance isn't a defense that's going to hold up if you're ever faced with a claim. Myth number 2. I can fire someone for any reason. I'm an at-will employer. At-will employment does give employers a certain amount of flexibility, but it doesn't give you a blank check to terminate employees for any reason whatsoever. There are important exceptions to at-will employment. You can't fire someone for discriminatory reasons based on protected characteristics like age, gender, race, disability, or religion. You can't terminate an employee in retaliation for engaging in legally protected activities, like filing a workers' compensation claim, or reporting safety violations, or taking family medical leave. And you can't fire someone if doing so would violate public policy, like terminating someone for refusing to commit an illegal act. Remember, documentation is your very best friend when it comes to terminations. Always have clear, well-documented performance issues or policy violations before you decide to let someone go. They'll be your first line of defense if your decision is ever challenged. Myth number 3. Employees have to give 2 weeks' notice before quitting. Now, this is a big one that trips up a lot of business owners. In most states, employment is at will for both parties. Just like you can terminate an employee at any time within legal limits, employees can also leave your company at any time without notice. The 2-week notice period is a professional courtesy thing, not a legal requirement. So unless you have a specific employment contract that states otherwise, your employees are free to walk out the door today and never come back. Of course, it is frustrating when this happens, but instead of assuming you're entitled to notice, try focusing on creating a positive work environment where employees want to do the right thing and leave on good terms. Myth number 4. I can deduct money from an employee's paycheck for mistakes or damages. You know, when an employee breaks something expensive or makes a costly mistake, your first instinct might be to recover those costs through a paycheck deduction. But hold on a second. This is a really dangerous area. Federal law prohibits deductions that bring an employee's pay below minimum wage, and most states have stricter laws about what you can and can't deduct from paychecks. Again, in California, for instance, you generally can't deduct for cash shortages, equipment damage, or customer walkouts, even if the employee was the one who was responsible. The law views these as normal business losses that the employer should bear. New York has similar protections. You have to get written authorization for most deductions, and they explicitly prohibit deductions for breakage, cash shortages, or losses. And in Illinois, employers can't deduct for cash register shortages unless the employee admits responsibility in writing after the shortage happens. Even in states with fewer explicit prohibitions, there are usually big limitations and procedural requirements that make these type of deductions difficult or outright impractical. The reality is that across the country, the legal trend is toward protecting employee wages from these kinds of deductions, recognizing that business risks should generally be borne by the business, not passed on to the employees. So, before making any deductions from employee paychecks, always check your state laws or consult with an HR professional or employment attorney, because getting this wrong can lead to wage claims, penalties, and even lawsuits. Myth number 5. If my employee agrees to work off the clock, it's fine. This is a huge misconception that can open you to serious liability. Now, let me be absolutely clear. Employees cannot waive their right to be paid for all hours that they work, particularly non-exempt employees. Even if they volunteer to work extra time without pay, it's still illegal. And this applies to all sorts of situations: answering emails after hours, preparing for the workday before clocking in, or even staying late to finish projects. If employees are working, you need to pay them for their time. The consequences for off-the-clock work violations, well, they can be severe, including back pay, liquidated damages, and attorney's fees. And in some cases, these kinds of claims can turn into class actions if multiple employees are impacted. So even if your employee insists that they don't mind working unpaid, do not take them up on that offer. It's not worth the risk. Here's the truth. Labor laws exist to protect workers and create a fair playing field for businesses. The more you understand them, the better equipped you'll be to make sound decisions as you grow your team. Remember, being a good leader isn't just about avoiding legal pitfalls. It's about creating a workplace where people want to show up and do their best work. And part of that is treating everyone fairly under the law. So take the time to educate yourself on the basics of employment law. Connect with an HR professional or employment attorney who can guide you through the more complex issues. Your business and your team will be better for it. If you found this information helpful, please subscribe and share. And remember, your inspired leadership is the secret sauce to having a high-performance team and a wildly successful business you'll love. I'll see you next time on Leader's Journey.